Dan's a fantastic man. He really is.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome.
What's going on, everybody? Dan French here. It's Saturday, so we all know what's going on. It's a French Workbench podcast here. In studio, I have a full crew here today. We got a lot of information we're going to go over, and we want to thank everybody out there that has subscribed to the channel, also supported the channel. If you guys haven't hit the like button throughout this content and through this show, please hit that like button. Also, if you guys have this is your first time to come into the show, if you like the content, please subscribe if you have not. To all of our thousands subscribers out there, right, guys? Thousands.
Let's not exaggerate. Tens of thousands.
Yeah.
Tens of thousands subscribers out there.
We got Mr. Rick Raines back. Rick, your property manager. What's going on, buddy? How are you today?
I'm doing great. Always glad to be here. Thank you.
I appreciate you coming back, man. Anything new in your world? What have you been up to this last week, buddy?
Probably the biggest thing, got a call yesterday. My youngest grandson has just started going to school, and of course he gets croup yesterday. So he was sporting a temperature. I got a picture here of him. This poor little guy.
Oh, there you go, man.
And
Let me see him.
All right.
No. Yes.
Switch it around.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's
but
all right.
Anyway, he
your grandson looks like her.
They got him into the doctor, and by 6 o'clock last night, he was back to his old self.
Good.
Oh, good.
So we're all
Good for him, man.
Kids are resilient.
Yeah.
Good genes.
Absolutely. So what's going on? Anything else? Nothing else, huh? Anything personal going on with you? Did you guys do anything over the last week? Your family, your friends, anybody?
Wife got me started going to Bible study.
There you go, man. How do you feel about that? You feel like you're back on track now?
He was never off track. Did you not hear him say my wife said? I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
And we got himself, the one and only Mr. Brett Jenny over here, Mr. Energy. What's going on,
I
buddy?
need a drum roll for that. Not much, man. Just enjoying freedom, man. God bless freedom.
Where did you grow up, Brett?
Belmont, Wisconsin, brah.
Yeah.
Farmland, town of 800 people. I was telling Rick when we came in here this morning, I went to kindergarten and school that was out in the country.
Oh, yeah.
And people don't believe me.
I do. You walked to school.
Straight redneck, man, jeans.
It was 3 miles uphill both ways, right?
That's right.
It's always those
No, we took a
stories,
school
man.
bus out there, but I swear to
in
God.
in the snow.
Yeah, that's like unheard of now, but
That sounds like a slogan that somebody from the Midwest would say, though.
come to Wisconsin, eh? Good school, cornfield, beer.
Cheesehead over here.
Cheese, eh? You like cheese and beer?
Yeah,
Hey,
right.
man, we don't have mountains. We don't have oceans. You know what we have? Cheese and beer.
Cheese and beer,
And
baby.
football.
Oh,
Green Bay Packers.
and skeeters.
God's team.
You got skeeters. That's the
Skeeters.
That's the state bird.
Fishing, yeah. Muskies, Northerns.
All right, enough about you guys. Let's get over here. Esmeralda Lucia.
Enough of the
what's going
redneck games.
on? Right. Let's talk with Esmeralda Lucia. What's going on? How you doing today, Esmeralda?
I'm doing great.
Man, you got a nice background picture there. I like it a lot. Looks pretty good. Yeah. What have you been up to? Anything new in your world?
Oh my God, I have so many new things happening. Great things, though.
What's happening? You always,
I can't say yet.
But you
until
always
it's
do
done.
this. It's like I'm gonna tease you, and I'm gonna say something's good, and then it's like, wait, I can't really say anything about
until
it.
until the next
Until next week.
Yeah.
I had something life-changing happen. What was that? I can't say.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Anyways, how's your day?
Fun. It's gonna be so good.
Come on, give us a hint.
So you're gonna tell us during the show, right? You're not gonna say it till next week, right?
Yep.
Okay, so you guys
It'll be worth it. I promise.
Wow.
Now, is it be worth it for you or for the rest of us? Because if it's
Everybody.
okay.
All right, we also got Sarah
Everybody.
Morris. She's actually somebody that we're going to talk to today. She's a probate real estate attorney. Also, she also does real estate a little bit on the side, but mostly attorney work, right?
Right.
Okay, so how did you get? First off, thank you for coming on to the show.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's really awesome that you came on. Also, we want to kind of get some information on how you got started in this whole thing, as far as you being an attorney. So kind of give us an insight about what's going on with your whole process. Are you from Vegas or did you move to Vegas? Like, how did that work?
Sure. I actually came here for law school. I was the third graduating class at Boyd. So I'd never been to Vegas, didn't even think about it. But when I went to look at schools, the one in Vegas was had a lot of energy.
Where are you
So,
from originally?
I'd say Northern Virginia.
Okay.
Northern Virginia.
Yeah.
So all the way
East Coast.
across country.
Yeah. So
Quite a
but I liked
change.
It was a big change. I had no idea I'd still be here, but I didn't think I was only 21. So I thought, okay, I'll just go here, and here I am.
Hello, West Coast. Same thing I thought too. Whoa.
Yeah. So I've been doing this gig for 18 years. In law school, I owned a bail bonds. Interesting fun fact. Really? So,
Really?
Yep. That was the most fun I've ever had in my life.
Really?
At a job.
Bail bonds,
yeah.
huh? What? I bet you
Look
got
at
some
you.
stories for that.
Yes, absolutely.
Maybe a few in this town. Huh?
Right.
So
Chasing folks.
is that a big, that's a big money grab, isn't it?
Yeah. It can be really good money, high risk, but good money. And I know things have changed, obviously, because this was literally 20 years ago. So there's less bail bonds now, so I'm not really sure, what's going on.
If you think Vegas was the Wild West now,
yeah.
think 20 years ago.
Yeah,
It was crazy, right?
Yep. So I'm glad I did that.
Nothing to see here, folks.
Yeah, that's a lot of. Does that really give you what do you think you really learned from that process at working in a bail bonds?
I would say you never really don't judge people when you look at them, because they could have a ton of money even if they look like they're living
You're
on the
absolutely
street,
right. You're absolutely right.
Or they could look like they have all this money and have nothing and be in debt. So I really learned you just cannot judge a book by its cover, for sure.
Because people go through different things. I think everybody thinks when you go to a bail bonds, you're just you're scum.
Yeah, and that's not true. No. There's a lot of people that go that are.
There is. This town has the highest one, probably one of the highest for DUIs, and I'm sure that's one of the big things, right?
Yes.
DUIs going down there, people. So they're like, I need money, I need to get out, and
So you post their bail,
Yes.
and then how do you get paid then?
So it's a bond. So they put up a certain percentage of the bond.
Okay.
And
They
then
put
we
up their
pay.
house.
They can, depending on how big the bond is.
So-
And then we pay the insurance company a percentage, and then we get a percentage.
So that's
Okay.
one thing you need to know. Bail bond is basically a type of insurance policy,
Yes,
correct?
exactly.
Gotcha.
That's what it is.
Exactly.
So that's why when they bail, you go get them.
You got to go get them
'Cause you gotta go get your money.
Yeah,
You're
so
getting
you
your
gotta
money.
hire
Okay.
the bounty hunter
Gotcha.
to go get them,
My
which is
cousin
why it's
was
such
one.
high risk, because you never know. I mean,
Yeah.
even if you've got 5 co-signers, they may not go to court, and then you got to go find them.
I gotcha.
You know.
Just a lot of work that ends up becoming out of something that you didn't sign on for.
That brings up another question then. You said you got to go get them. Well, if you've got 5 co-signers, and let's say you got 5 houses on the line,
That's unusual.
I'm just okay.
Yeah.
That's unusual. But let's just say that you have more than enough collateral.
Sure.
Do you just say, screw it, I'm going to take the whatever?
You never do, because you never know if the collateral's still there. It's best.
That's
to
a
go
whole
get the
nother
person.
risk.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
is another risk.
You're basically
So-
saying we're taking this as a bad business decision, and now we're going to try to recoup what we can.
Right.
There you go.
All right, so let's get into this. All right, so let's talk.
Interesting, anyways.
We're
Sorry.
gonna we're gonna talk a lot today about many different topics. Not crazy amount of topics, but we're gonna talk about a few topics. So the first thing is, I do want to tell everybody that the housing market, obviously everybody knows, is slowing down. So we've had a problem. The problem is that everybody was coming into this market really putting in offers over list, high numbers, right? High amount of numbers as far as people coming in multiple offer scenarios, putting crazy amounts of money over list price. Okay, so we've seen this taper off now, maybe because the market's starting to slow. This is the time of year when it starts to slow, but we also know that this could be an opportunity for somebody out there, that this is a perfect time to buy because you have less competition and the market is starting to slow down. So I think people's, thinking, well, I'm going to follow everybody's, position here. I think you should reconsider and take a look. It doesn't mean you have to go out, and what, Brett? Go ahead.
I think what really comes into play right now are what's the price of the home that you're buying.
Right.
Because if it's still $450 or below and it's a decent house, it's updated, it has a pool and a yard, I just submitted an offer yesterday for a buyer and it was listed at $375. We submitted it for $375, was on the market for like 12 hours. And I got an email last night and the agent said, please come in with your highest and best by Sunday night because we've already received like I think 7 or 8 offers.
Yeah.
So that's, I mean, you know, but that's a desirable house and that's a desirable price point. So there's, you know, when the demand is already, I should say, when the supply is already low, it's really low when you're talking about the volume of buyers in that price point.
Sure.
Now, if you're talking about something that is, and even probably in the 500 price range, but you start getting 650,
7.
7, somewhere around there. Yes, 100% is you're seeing things that maybe sit there for ones that were getting multiple offers, 40, 50 grand over, maybe sitting there for a week. Maybe sitting there for 2 weeks.
Let's get into that in a second because I want to get that information, but I also want to introduce also what else we're going to do here. So the other things we're going to talk about is with Rick, we're going to talk about pools working for owners, right? How that works. Is that really cost effective? Are they losing money on that? Also the repairs for owners and tenants and what his perspective is on that as a property manager. And we're also going to talk about cryptocurrency with Brett. We're going to talk a little bit about stocks. And but first we're going to talk with Sarah Morris. And I want to introduce Sarah Morris, and I want to go over this with Sarah Morris because she has a lot of input, not just on the probate, because she does probate. She's a real estate attorney. She also has some input on what's going on in the market. She's been here for a period of time now, so she's got a really good, maybe a good analysis of what's going on, what her perspective is on this. So first off, let's go and talk with Sarah, and that's why we have Sarah on. So Sarah, what's going on? So let's talk with you a little bit about your situation with probate. You do life estate, is that right?
Estate planning.
Estate planning, right? And kind of introduce to us what you do on a daily basis or what you really encompass as far as your position and what your occupation is.
Okay, sure. So I do basically business, which encompasses real estate, estate planning, and probate. And I represent a lot of small businesses as general counsel. Just if things come up, then they can call me. I do a lot of probate. Probate is when someone passes away.
Right.
You have to go to court in order to get their stuff. Because if it's in the person that passed away's name, then you got to go to court to get the judge to transfer it into whoever it's supposed to be into the legal heir's name. So that's probate. We do a lot of that. It comes up a lot in real estate, believe it or not.
A ton.
Right, because you've got whoever on title. Maybe it's not just the dead guy, or the dead girl. It's also somebody else, but it depends on how you hold title. So if you hold it in a certain way, you're still going to have to probate that deceased person's interest. So that comes up, and I can tell you last week, interestingly, I had 3 potential clients call for. I do a lot of like commercial lease drafting and review, and I had 3 clients call where they were leasing space and they needed me to review the lease agreement. So I was happy because I was even telling them, it looks like the economy's coming back. People are leasing space. Businesses are opening up.
Yeah.
So that was
That's encouraging because I think a lot of people, don't know what's really happening in Las Vegas.
She sees a whole other side that is a very good indicator of what's happening with the economy and real estate, which is the commercial side.
Right.
Now, is it slowly creeping up from your perspective, or is the economy, because you're dealing with these contracts and you're reviewing them, or is it just, it's really people are just, all right, it's 0 to 100, like I always say, where everybody's back in?
It's like slow to medium, right? Because even last year,
Yeah.
I was getting new businesses calling, like, okay, I'm going to open up a business. I got to get a business entity. What do I get? And so we'd open up the entity and then do all the contracts for them. So I was really surprised, even in the middle of the pandemic, people are opening up businesses. So, but it seems like it's going a little faster now.
Mm-hmm. I always said too, the housing recovery, or not the housing, but the economic recovery here post-COVID was really in big part because of the housing market.
100%.
And I think the housing market never tapered off. It never slowed down. Actually, it increased. And it's a weird thing. I was really interested in the business side of it, though. Would that come back? And because the housing market never went anywhere, but would that come back quickly? From your perspective, it's coming back pretty quick, huh?
It's coming back pretty quick. Yeah, I've definitely seen an uptick, especially the last few months.
So let's talk a little bit about how you got into the business. We kind of did a little bit, but let's kind of go into the process of how you got into what you do and
now.
What type, right?
Yeah, right.
And so what do you see out there on a daily basis with what you do and how you work with some of the clients that you work with? Like, is there a lot of people looking for probate right now? Is there a lot of people that are seeking out your line of work?
There's definitely, unfortunately, or fortunately for me, but unfortunately in general, more people dying, did die during COVID. So the probate cases have definitely gone up since then. And of course, I don't know, a lot of people, they don't need to know this, but the probate calendar is very backed up because of the pandemic.
I can tell you firsthand it's
okay,
backed up.
because you're the
dude.
realtor, so you're waiting for that house to close.
Personally, 100% can guarantee it's backed up.
So I mean, we're waiting like 8 weeks for a hearing at this point.
Yeah, dude, it's great.
Wow.
Yeah, it's.
Yeah.
So COVID.
They'll tell you, the realtor will tell you 30 days, but it's not 30.
No.
So
They'll tell you that.
8 weeks.
Did it used to be 30 days?
It used to be 30 and under. Believe it or not, we could get a hearing.
It was fairly
within
quick.
A couple weeks.
Yeah.
But now these poor people are having to wait 6 to 8 weeks to even get a hearing to approve the sale. And when we're talking about the hearing, for people that don't know what that means, when you have to sell a home through probate, then the judge has to approve it, and there's an auction that takes place. So that auction hearing it doesn't take place. Even if you get into contract and somebody wants to buy the house, it's going to be 8 weeks later before that person knows if they actually get the house.
Yep.
Because that's when the auction's going to take place.
So you need an accepted offer to present to the judge, to the court, right? And then what happens is that it's basically an auction, open auction, but that doesn't happen until the actual court date.
Yes. And the judge is just going to take the highest and best offer, which makes sense.
So let me ask you this. Have you seen a lot of that?
Yes.
This past year, where you have an investor come in or something, and
yes.
So so I've never encountered that personally, but I was told, and you'll set me straight, is if say a house is $400,000, that's the value, that's appraisal's coming in and blah blah blah, and you've got someone who's going to be living in the house, it's a family, and they offer $400,000, and that's what's accepted at. That if somebody comes in that's at 405 or 410, the judge will probably just say, listen, dude, 400 is what it is, and blah, blah, blah. Or they just say, nope, 405 is higher than 400, and they get it.
Yeah, it's the nope 405. It's whatever the highest and best. They do not care about
they don't care.
circumstances. And that's something I think people don't understand. It doesn't matter if this is your dream home and your
I get it.
whatever.
They're there to represent the best interest of
the estate.
Of the
and
estate.
The estate's best interest is to get as much money
Absolutely.
as possible.
Yeah, I gotcha.
So-
Okay.
So, new question: who's making this decision on the acceptable price? Is that the court that's doing it, or a trustee, or a
You have to send in an
relative?
appraisal.
Or you got these offers? Who's deciding? What's the best deal?
So once the seller or the estate decides that they want to accept an offer and we present it to the court, we have to have an appraisal most of the time, unless all the heirs waive an appraisal. But there's still going to be information in front of the judge on the fair market value. So obviously, if it was way under, we wouldn't be able to get it.
So somebody who doesn't do real estate every day has a basic value of what that property is worth.
Yes.
And
Basically, that's for the judge.
where are the probate sales held?
Court.
Yeah, but
Right on
now it's on Blue Jeans, which is on, you don't have to actually go to court.
Yeah.
So you can do it on video.
Okay.
But it used to be you showed up and
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
And if someone's gonna outbid you, they'll sit there and you see them behind you, just like vultures sitting there.
So
and they have to actually, they have to notice that they're going to outbid, so they have to
they have to
tell
notify.
us.
Yeah, they can't just show up.
within 72 hours of the hearing. So we have some heads up for the people because a lot of times, the people that are going to buy the house, they're very invested and they want
course.
the house, and so it's nice at least that they have a heads up that
Yeah,
somebody might overbid.
So how long is this process right now? The reason I'm asking this is because 20 years ago, I was property manager for the probate courts, and I handled a lot of big, large investment properties that were in probate. And sometimes it would take a freaking year. We would be managing these things. So how long is this process normally taking?
It depends. I mean, probate's all about how much the estate's value is. So the lower the value, the quicker it goes. The higher the value, the longer it takes. So when you were saying, the high value, then of course it's going to take
Yeah,
a
and if
long
you're talking
time.
about like commercial buildings or something, I'm sure.
It was a huge
Yeah,
condo
multi-unit. Okay.
like 100 and some units.
Yeah, that's just not one house.
So then you're in general
That's 100
administration,
homes.
what's called general. So it's going to take you over a year for sure to get through that. But with the smaller estates, a lot of people, the estates are between 100 and 300,000 is the general, that's an average value, and that usually takes 6 to 9 months to get through entirely. But the home portion of it is probably 4 to 6 months.
So if somebody, the seller of the property dies, can they have anything set up ahead of time in a will or something where they don't have?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Please
right.
do that,
Which
and
is
that's what I can do.
which is
But-
leading
and
to
it's
what else
gonna-
you can do.
Let me say
Yeah,
this
exactly.
though: if a will comes in though, right, and there's not any, let's say there's other, dependents that when that person passed away, that have equal rights to that, right, on that will, they don't define that. Now they have to go through a process, right, to say who gets the money or who gets the actual assets. Is that correct?
Well, there's so many different kinds of
Depends
estate.
how you get set up.
Exactly. There's wills and there's trusts. So a will does not avoid court. You're still going to court.
Yeah.
Trust totally avoided if you do
Yep.
it right. So you just want to make sure. I mean, that's the other
Irrevocable
thing. Like
trust.
if you're going to court, then the heirs are spending a lot of money. So in order to avoid that, you should probably have an estate plan. Then you don't have to go to court at all, and it makes it easier. The whole reason people do this wills and trust thing is so that they can make it easier for the people that they leave behind.
Yeah.
Those people are already going to be grieving. They don't want to have to deal with the time, expense, emotion of going through a whole year of court just to get the house. Like, that's crazy. So if you do a trust, the way to avoid that is to do a trust, basically. If you do a trust, then you're going to help your family. And honestly, that's what people really care about.
And you strongly advise go that route,
Of
obviously.
course. Yes. Go that route. Come to me. I'll do it.
Legally, morally, professionally, everything. Go that route.
Yeah,
Get set
it's
up with the
much
trust.
easier.
Yeah.
So the will-
Go see her to get it set up.
So the will doesn't have any power per se.
The will not avoid going to court to get the judge to transfer the house. Let's just say it's the house.
A will
right?
stands for willfully going to court. I'm just kidding. I just
heard
made
that,
that
but
up
that's
right
a good
now. You
one.
like that?
Yeah, that was good.
I
That
used
was
my
good.
big brain on that one.
But the will, yeah, I mean, but to answer Dan's question though, the will at least, the reason to have minimum basic estate plan as the will is because at least you dictate who gets what when you die. If you don't have a will, then the court literally has to go to the law, and the law says who gets what. Well, what if you don't like your kid and you want to disinherit them, but the law says they get it because you haven't done a will or anything? Then everything goes to that kid.
Then it all goes down to the
so
kid, yeah.
you gotta at least have the will so everybody who you want gets your stuff.
And that's when you physically see people rolling in their grave.
Yeah. Right. So let's say this: you
Too
probably
early
deal
in
with a
the
lot
morning.
of people with emotional situations. Is it hard for you to deal with that, or is it you just kind of have a callous to, you know what, I get it, but I'm here to do a job, and I just got to be, I got to stay on task, right? And because I think a lot of people come in, just like you said, the COVID issues and things that go on. People are probably like, I'm sensitive, I'm emotional right now, and I don't know how to react. And then you're coming in, you're kind of dealing with some of these people. Is it hard for you?
It is challenging, but I have a lot of empathy for like legitimate, authentic empathy because I think we've all lost people in our life, and so I can understand what they're going through to some extent. Of course, I'm not in their situation, but
Sure.
I think it's just very important to acknowledge their feelings and make them understand that I'm here to help them through the process and make it as easy as possible to get through. Because it is a difficult process, for anyone to go through when they've lost somebody and now they have to deal with probate.
Yeah, it's a tough situation to be in.
Yeah.
What's the process for somebody that, let's say, if they don't have a will, and you have to go? I mean, obviously it's different for everybody, but is there a certain process that takes? Is it months or is it maybe a couple weeks for them to figure out who gets what? Because I know going through that process, sometimes it takes longer, right?
Well, the good and the bad. If somebody calls me and let's say their husband passed away with no estate plan, no will, no trust, I can tell them because I already know what the law says, who's going to get his stuff, right? So they know up front who's going to get it, which is good because then, there's no argument. It's just, it is what it is. The law says this and this is where it's going, because he didn't do a will.
I'm just doing my job, right?
Candy's getting her cut, right?
That's right.
She's getting her cut.
They're all looking at you and
Community property state, for sure the wife's getting her cut.
right? They're all looking at you and you're like,
not
I'm
the
just
wife.
I'm just doing my job.
So what's the latest person or group or people that you've dealt with when it comes to you have a story or anything that you had recently that you were dealing with somebody in a situation like that where they really didn't have all their ducks in a row and you had to kind of go through the process with them and get
That's
everything
probably
fixed?
8 out of 10 people, man.
Yeah, it is 8 out of 10 people. I would say there's two things. The quick story is I just talked to somebody, and I bring this up because I know we have a title rep here. It is really important how you decide when you purchase a home. The way you put how you hold title is it really impacts what happens if someone passes, right? So there's lots of different ways. I'm not going to bore you with the different ways, but I had a potential client call me and they said, okay, because there's a lot of multi-generational living together now, right? So I had a client call and say, okay, there's 4 of us, my husband, me, and my in-laws, and we're all buying a house together, but we are concerned about how this is all going to work when one of us passes away, which I'm glad she called. She was smart to call because it's complicated, and it all depends on what you want to happen if one were to pass, right?
Sure.
And what ended up happening is, and a lot of times in these types of situations when we have multi-generational living and people aren't putting the same amounts in, like one of them was putting 100,000, the other was putting 200. So you've got different portions
of equity in it.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so it gets very complicated. Honestly, what I told her to do and what we're going to do for her is a land trust. There's lots of different types of trusts, but the land trust, it would work really well for that kind of situation. Everything is because the property is going to be put in that trust, and then the trust rules in terms of what happens if someone passes, and you can do whatever you want. You've got complete control. Whereas if you had just put them all on title, then it becomes
that you could hold title and add percentages.
Yes, but then
I've seen that.
But then if one dies and it's a undivided percentage, then that percentage has to go to probate court to get to the next person.
Unless you have it set up.
Unless you have joint tenancy with rights of survivorship, which means if one dies, the others get it, right? But a lot of times because there's different portions, they don't want to put it back in the pot. So that's kind of complicated, but an easier example for probate purposes, because I feel like that was
No, that's all right. We like to hear the long-winded
That's not
version.
Law 101 right there, man. That's
I'm trying not to be complicated.
That's like the master's class.
But I will say what has come
I'm not
up
too
a lot.
smart. You got to dumb it down for me.
What's come up a lot though is when I had a client who the guy passed away unexpectedly. He left behind. He had no will, no trust, nothing. Left behind 3 kids. He had 3 siblings, and then he had a mom in Mexico who has dementia. Well, guess what? The mom in Mexico who has dementia gets everything based on the law, Nevada law. That's who's getting everything. He didn't have a kid. He didn't have a spouse. So we have a problem because she's in Mexico. She's getting a check for a couple $100,000.
What?
And they don't. But it's a problem because they couldn't get it into Mexico. So
That's what I was going to say. Is
that's-
how did they even get it?
Exactly.
Yeah,
it was
right?
a big production, which obviously I can't disclose how they ended up getting it. But the point is, you gotta plan. You gotta plan for these things. You never know when they're gonna happen. And you don't want the wrong person to get everything. I mean, you're dead, but you probably don't want, all these hundred thousands of dollars going to somebody that you can't stand, right?
I know an easy way to get it there. Bitcoin.
So see, we can segue into the Bitcoin talk.
I'm just saying.
That's Brett's topic right there.
I know.
bread and butter.
That's what he wants to talk.
He's just itching over there
my
right
topic?
now.
It's my life. It's my life.
If you die with nothing set up and no relatives, and they can't find anybody, who gets the money?
Great question. I think you probably know the answer.
Yeah, I know the answer.
The state of Nevada. So that's why you want to plan, because otherwise the
What's the
state's getting your
terminology for
stuff.
that?
Screwed.
Intestate succession is the.
It's called wrecked.
I have a question. So let's say that, we'll just say is a man that died, and he doesn't have, his wife died too, and they have like 8 kids. How does that work with the kids? Do they just divide it equally, or is it the oldest kid? Or is
Equal.
what if the
Totally
kids
equal.
are like half kid, like half step sons and daughters, and
Depends on who died first. It gets complicated.
I'm just curious.
Yeah,
like,
it depends
how
on who
everybody
dies
has
first.
mixed families
Yeah.
now.
Right.
It's like relationship status. It's complicated.
my
we see people put that, you're like, what?
Dios
It's
mío.
complicated.
So well, here's the deal. So I know like when you go through the process, right, and people really don't know how it all works. I think it's kind of, it's unfamiliar to people. It's foreign territory, right? They don't really know how to get started or find somebody. I'm going to go over here and I'm going to go ahead and bring her information up, and that's her right here. And if you guys want to find Morris Law Center, this is her right here. If you guys want more information on probate, it looks like you got estate planning, business, real estate, And you have a podcast. Wow, you got everything that we got. What's going on over here?
Dan, thanks.
So she's very well versed in what she does.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Not
we
right
do-
out of law school.
We offer 15-minute phone consults. You can book directly through my website, so they're complimentary.
And you guys got some testimonials down here. You know, you got some clicks here where it says probate, estate planning, business. All right, cool. So you guys have all this stuff here. I think the average person out there really doesn't understand how all that works. I mean, you know, if it's set up, it's set up. They're just collecting a check at that point, right? For most people, if they didn't set it up. But I do want to bring up a point that in mortgages, right, and going through title, a lot of people don't know they can choose how they vest title. And I think knowing that is an important thing because a lot of that could eliminate some of the issues. I'm not saying it could.
It could, and that's what they have to really think about this. And I know the title companies do discuss it with them, but joint tenancy is the most common, and that's the easiest way to avoid having to put the house through probate. But again, it depends on your situation, if that makes sense. So
Yeah, like if you bought an investment property, tenancy in common, there's unequal amounts of ownership, right? So that might be a point where you said, well, who gets that? Do I will that to my other family member, my portion, right? And there's different layers to this, right?
right, exactly.
Either how you have it set up or how you don't have it set up is how that happens.
So
Right?
new question, a more generic question. So you have, I think most people, at least in the U.S., know that you're supposed to have a trust and a will or something to that nature. You just know that.
You should.
And that you should do this. What is the most common reason as to why people don't do it? Why do they wait?
Okay, really, the common reason is people don't want to think about their own.
Yeah,
Death.
I can understand that.
Yep, and
Same
they're
reason
like,
why I don't want to go to the
It's
doctor.
almost
Yes.
like
Yes.
it's almost like they're bringing it on.
Yes, and
Yeah.
they don't want
I
to talk
agree.
about anything
Yeah.
about it, and then they're like, "Oh, I'll do it next year. Oh, I'll do it the following year."
Because
Oh,
it's an
fine.
inconvenient thing
So,
that is
yeah.
nobody wants to think
It's
about.
like life
you know?
insurance. You know, you go in, you're
Yeah,
like, well, I'm
but
paying.
you know, my mom passed this summer, and before she got sick a couple years ago, her and my father went and set everything up at the funeral home. They set everything up with the life, you know, I mean, so that when she did pass, because you're right. I mean, my dad's completely upset. His wife of 50 years. How's he live, right? And he's going through those thoughts. And everything was literally taken care of. They had paid for everything ahead of time. They had done everything. It just makes so
it
much.
easy.
I mean, and nobody wants to do it, but it was responsible of them to do it. And by being responsible now, like, dude, if you care about people you love, do it.
Yeah, and
So
it's
here-
You know?
kind to the people you leave behind.
Absolutely. it
Here's
is.
here's
Yeah.
another thought, off of what Brett just said. I've done everything, and I didn't want to do it, but I've gone to the point of I already have the grave sites and I already have our headstones, and everything's paid for.
Yep.
Now, if any of you have witnessed prices going up, once you do this and you pay for it and it's all done, and even if you do it in your 20s, as an example, let's just say you live another 70 years. Do you have any idea how much money you're saving? Because
Good
it's
point.
already done.
Right.
So that's another way to look at it. Is just do it and forget about it. Then just forget about it.
Yeah, I agree. So, guys, if you guys have any information that you want to get a hold of with Sarah, then we have her information here. We'll also have it posted in the comment section. So we're going to go and move on with the topics. She's also going to give us some insight on what because she is a real estate agent. She doesn't do it full time, but she's also going to give her insight a little bit on what's going on in the market. So let's go ahead and segue into what we need to talk about with real estate. So a lot of times, you know, when you look at real estate right now, real estate's starting to slow down. This is the normal time of the year. Some statistics that I want everybody to be aware of, you know, there's high amounts of bidding war that was going on. Obviously, everybody knows that. In August, 58.8% of offers written, and this is through Redfin agents. It's not for across, you know, was forced as a bidding war. So that's a high
58%.
58%. That's a high number. The peak was at 74% last year, where offers were being at 74%. Every single offer.
Is that just for this market?
This market.
Okay.
Right now, you look at this and you look at August. We're looking at August, month of August.
Yeah.
In 2020, it was at 59%. The peak was at 74%. So you're looking at us now seeing a market where we had 25 to 30 offers going on, right? Everybody's in a multiple offer scenario. Now we're down to 7 and 10. I know it doesn't sound like that
is a big deal.
but it's a big deal. And I think
Because it's the little things like that,
Right.
Especially being in this business 16 years, it's the little things like that you start to notice and that you need to pay attention to.
Right.
It's so. With that being said, yeah, it's starting to lessen down for the buyers, but you still have a low supply in the market. And then you still have, and I always say, watch what the hedge fund money does.
Yeah, I mean, and that's true. So they've come in, and you look at cash buyers; they're up 290%.
Oh,
is that
it?
That's it. That's it. That's huge, man. That's a big
no,
number.
no kidding.
Right?
Yeah,
I mean, and here's the other thing, right? So you look at Las Vegas, and I'm thinking, well, Las Vegas is really got to be in the top 3. They didn't even crack the top 5.
For what?
For as far as cities that were going in highest and best or high bids. That means there's 5 other cities out there minimum that are getting higher offers or going through a bidding war that's even a higher percentage.
Let me guess. Austin, Texas? Boise, Idaho?
Hey,
right?
I'll tell you what it is.
They're 2 of the 5.
I know it's Phoenix, Boise, Idaho, I believe, and I think it was North Carolina was another one.
Okay.
So
I bet you Austin, Texas is too.
Probably so. I mean, I don't know about those facts, so I'm not going to
No,
say
I know for sure.
You know for sure. Okay. So
I don't know anything.
Here's my thing is we're now in Las Vegas starting to settle down. And I still feel, look, everybody says, well, rents are going up and the rent cost is higher than mortgages. I'm sorry, mortgages are higher than rents, so I'm going to still rent. And should I get into a mortgage? Listen, everybody's different. But if you're looking to get into a house right now, I feel that the market is starting to kind of ease back. And we always say this, when the market starts to slow, that could be the best opportunity for you to buy. And what are your thoughts on this? Do you think the same?
My thoughts are, I agree with you 100%. And my best advice is give it a couple months. Give it about the end of the year, and it should be a much more noticeable thing. Like again, as I've been saying, I'm not saying the market's going to crash. I'm not saying we're going down 15%. I'm not saying anything like that. But another thing that's going to be a contributing factor too, which we'll have yet to see, but I think is going to happen, which our interest rates are going to increase.
Well, let's talk about.
I'm not saying a lot.
I want to say about
but
Las Vegas. Let's talk about Las Vegas really quick. Las Vegas is a market that we're all entrenched into it, right? We just see. It's kind of like you don't really go outside your bubble. You don't know what's happening outside of Vegas. So we're always like, Vegas is the hottest market ever, and it's this and it's that.
Still
true.
true.
But really, it's hot. But is it really the hottest market? I mean,
it's not the hottest, but it's one of, and always going to be, especially right now.
But it's slowing down. So you look at it and go, it is slowing down.
Yeah.
Now, the number of homes, we'll go over this in a second, the number of homes have decreased, right? You said this, and we're going to talk about this. But we're starting to see I look at the activity. I also look at the offers that are going in on houses. I also look at, is there negotiation power at this point? On some homes, yes. On some homes, no. They last in August, the percentage of over list offers that were being put in on contracts was 55%, and it dropped to 50%, which is still a high staggering number, right? 50% of offers have over list prices going on. But that's better news, and I think it's still an opportunity for people out there to buy a house. I mean, what do you think about it, Rick?
Oh, I'm with Brett, but I think that it's you should probably start looking real close about the beginning of November. Reason it's going to take a little while, especially if you're going to do some financing, but beginning of November, end of November, you're hitting probably the absolute lowest that we seasonally see here in Vegas. So I'm a little on the...
And plus you're coming into a market where we're coming in the holidays.
Right.
And I don't care if you can afford a house, want to move somewhere. Unless you absolutely have to, no one's moving during the holidays.
So do you think it's going to continue to slow to keep this opportunity growing for people out there? The market. Is the market going to continue to slow where more and more properties and just the pace and the activity level?
I think it's going to level. I don't know if it's going to keep the slide. The slide's going to go through the end of the year just because of time of year. But I think it's going to level because you got more people going back to work. More of the insaneness is going to go away. And I think there's going to end up being more demand after that. That's what I think.
I agree. I think things are going to slow a little bit, yes. But at the same point, I've done this long enough to know that we're in uncharted territory with a lot of things. So it's starting to slow. How much is it going to? And then when's it going to uptick, going to keep going up or not or level? I don't know how long. We'll find out.
Sarah,
we'll find out.
What do you think about this market? I mean, you're not into real estate, and I want to get your opinion on it. You've seen the transitions. Were you here You were obviously here back in 2005,
Yes.
2006 and 7.
Yeah.
What did you think about that market compared to this market from another person's perspective?
Well, I mean, I don't think it's going to do what it did then for sure, because we have much more stuff in place to make sure that doesn't happen. And the
Lending
kind-
standards.
exactly, and the
Safeguards.
kind of
Most
loans
importantly,
are not going to
lending
are not
standards.
happening. So, but I am with both of them in terms of like what they're saying about the end of the year. I guess I feel like the sweet spot, and this is just a gut, because people ask me this, is like
All the
January.
time? Yeah.
January. You know, like I feel like that might be a time to consider purchasing.
Is it like the gym though? It's like they're just, hey, I'm going to push this off because I feel like I'm just going to wipe the slate clean and start over next year. Is that kind of what? Because I feel
that's what people are doing right now, which is we can take advantage of. If people are going to push that off until January, but January
is that
usually
going to really
when they
is it going to
start
make a
to-
difference though? I guess is what I'm trying to say. By pushing into does it really make a difference?
Well, I feel like, because, okay, I agree with you guys that the slow time of year, it's coming up, it's the holidays, it's traditionally the slow time for real estate. 100% agree, but, you know, it takes a while to get that slow happening.
Yep.
So that's why I feel like by January, that's when, like, you might want to consider buying, but literally in January. I'm not talking about, like, March, you know?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is I'm not saying you're going to buy in January, but the people, you need to start getting yourself prepared and doing what you need to get your everything in place to start in January.
Yeah, to do it.
And here's another thought for people that are wanting to sell. Personal opinion: if you want to sell, try and get it done and closed after the first of the year. And the reason being is you close it on December 25th, you get to pay taxes 4 months later on it. And if you wait till after January, you
Quick
get a
little
whole,
nugget of information right there.
you get a whole year, almost a year and a half,
100%.
to wait to pay taxes.
So as a realtor, and Brett's one, everybody's got a real estate license, but I think a lot of people, right?
You said it, bud.
Everybody.
Everyone's got a real estate license.
Everybody. So
I know.
My thing is this: everybody wants to know, okay, should I stay renting or should I buy? I think there's a lot of biased position when it comes to real estate agents telling people you should go buy a house. Now's the best time. Do it now. Is it really the best time to buy now? Like, if you were in the market, would you buy a home right now, Brett?
I think that if the right home that I wanted and I had a chance to get it right now, yes, and I would pay full price and I wouldn't feel bad about it. Because the interest rate I'd be getting it at right now, even if that home went down 15% in value, if interest rates are 2% higher 2 years from now, I'm having a cheaper mortgage payment now at a higher price than I am then. And I also feel that things may level off, but I don't think the housing market is going down for prices.
I look at it as it's a fixed payment, right? And also the appreciation is going to be there. We may be seeing it staggering a little bit where it's retracting, but I don't see why somebody would rent. And just in my perspective, that doesn't mean it's right or wrong, but why somebody would rent versus say getting into a mortgage, because at least you have a set payment and at least you're positioning somewhat of your money into a future return on investment, regardless if you're like, well, I'm on the fence, you know.
I think unless you have that specific house picked out that you want right now would be a good time to maybe start looking and entertaining the idea. But whether you buy right now or you wait until January, you'll probably have a better chance at the market later this fall than right now for your own odds. But like I said, if the right house for you is on the market right now and it's there and you want it, then there's not going to be much of a difference as far as your mortgage payment or whatever it is between now and January or February.
There's lots of reasons to continue renting, and it has to do many times with the industry that you're in. So an obvious huge industry is
especially in this town
is the military. So if you're in the military, you don't know how long you're going to be stationed here, and you're going to have to move, so you rent. You could be traveling medical, which is big right now around the country. Yep. Another reason that you rent. You could be in an industry where if you're young and straight out of college and you've got a master's from MIT or Yale and you want to move up the corporate ladder very fast, like within 10 years, dude, you rent and you job hop from large company to large company. So there's a lot of reasons. And another thing is there are certain households where people grow up in a rental situation, and for the most part, that's what they believe that they should be doing because that's what their parents did and that's what their grandparents did. And I'm not saying that's right or wrong. I'm just giving you a reason as to why people continue to rent.
Well, the good news is the hedge funds are going to make you.
Yeah, I mean, I think
Give it 5 years.
I think it's also commitment. It is a commitment. I think it's timing in life. What are your thoughts on it, Sarah? as far as people looking to rent versus maybe getting into a mortgage. I think a lot of people as realtors, they're biased. They want they want clients, right? But that doesn't mean everybody's ready to buy. I don't think any of us would talk anybody into getting
I would
into
say
a
it's
house.
based on your scenario, I guess. If you know, to go back to that question, should someone buy right now? I would say, tell me your scenario.
Well, it's a slow
And
market.
I'll give you my advice based off
Right.
that.
It's
Because there's a ton of different things that
Right.
could come into play that I'm not thinking of.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of with Rick on this because it and Brett, because it depends on your circumstances. I think everybody should be investing, right? And your home is probably one of your bigger investments, and I think it's important. If you're already going to be paying a lot with rent, if you could buy and you can qualify for your mortgage, then you might want to consider buying because, like you said, Dan, you know, it is, and all of you guys have said, it's going to, I don't think we're in a crazy market like the bubble in 2007.
No.
So I think if you're going to sit there for at least, even like if you're talking, usually people are in what, average 5 years, right? So, but if you're going to be 5+ years in this house that you purchased, then I think it's a potentially decent investment and then it's not going to bite you in the ass.
That's exactly right.
Yeah, no, you're right.
That's a good analogy. Yeah. What about you, Esmeralda?
You know, I said this before. Your market is the market you could afford it in. So it's irrelevant whether the market drops, it doesn't drop, because if you can't afford it in the market when it drops, then it's not your market. And I think that if you're in the market, you have the money, you can get a loan or you can pay for it, or then that's your market. And if you find the house that you love and it's your house, and then it's a win.
I think that anytime you can afford to buy a house
Is your market.
is
It's
a
the right
is a
time.
good market.
Is
you
your
know?
market.
Yeah.
Yep.
Let's look at the numbers here. So we have 3,806 homes. Is that less or more than last week, Brett?
That's let me take these off for a second. That's
Yeah.
less.
That's less. Okay.
So last week we had, what was last week?
So you look at the
we had 3844 last week and we have 3770.
Well, I took this last night. Remember we had
Last night. Okay, yeah. So we're at what on there?
3806.
So we're 39 homes less.
Okay, so 39. So that's not a
From
big
last
fluctuation. So
No, we're less.
yeah, I mean, but I'm saying it's not a big drop. Is it slowly going up as you see this market, though? I mean, we're seeing increases, incremental increases, right?
I mean, it's staying between probably 3,400 and 4,000. It's been there for months.
We got
and
10
months.
days on the market for homes on average, but I've seen homes that have been 45, 50 days. Now, those
That's
are probably
medium days on the market.
Yeah, that's medium. Yeah,
Right there.
that's crazy,
mean,
right?
look at that, dude.
So, but listen, here's what I can say about that is
Insane.
you look at that number and it's still there, but I do feel like the activity level is less, and I feel that there's
It
more.
is.
There's
It is.
there's homes that I see now 16, 20 days.
But it's relative. So yeah, it's less compared to the most crazy ass market we've ever seen.
So 10,
But
10 days.
if we had a normal market, the less would be relative to that normal market. So yeah, I mean it's less relatively speaking, but
So is this,
if you
you're looking at this here too, right? You look at the homes that are for sale right now on the market. Is that accurate? 4,697. Is that accurate to you?
for single family, not
Yeah.
condos and townhouses.
For single
but
family.
yes,
right?
that's
So-
accurate.
So that's not. It's a lot, but it's not a lot. Where do we need to be at? Do you think?
We need to be between 3 to 6 months. I would say more probably between 3 and 5 months supply. So 3 months being that we're nice and healthy, and 5 months being we're getting on the verge of too many homes on the market.
So right now we're seeing this at 1.6 months. So we're not there yet.
No, we're about half of that.
We're half of that. But we've seen an increase. I thought it was. I think I saw
Not
it last time. It was 1.2. So it's increased slightly.
Okay, but
Okay.
so how long does 1% take to get to 50%?
I mean, I think it
50
depends.
weeks, almost a year.
What do you-
That's things continuing right now at this pace. There's so many things that can come into play. I mean, listen, we could wake up tomorrow and all of a sudden there's a whole segment of people that say, hey, you know what? We're just going to chill now until Christmas. And I mean, do I think that's going to happen?
There's also a lot of new home builders that
Yeah,
are building, so
correct.
that's going to impact the market as well
So-
in terms of having more homes available for sale.
Absolutely, and from my end, when I start, I track the info from the builders. 3 or 4 months ago, your buyers were getting multiple bids and they're putting $50,000, $60,000 lot premiums on everything. And they're saying to the realtor, oh, we'll give you $1,500 co-broke. We'll give you 1% co-broke instead of 3%. Now I'm getting emails from builders that are saying, oh, we have standing inventory ready to go. You can actually go into that standing inventory now, and you can actually, I'm not saying you're going to be able to get it for a hell of a lot cheaper, but you're actually able to come in as a buyer now and have things a little more towards your terms. You're starting to have a little room for negotiation, and they're saying to the realtors, oh, by the way, we're paying 3% commission. Well, that's great. We're worried 2 months ago.
So that's an indication of where some of this is
when
going.
I'm starting to see that, when I'm starting to see that, that's an indication from the builders that things are starting to lighten up a bit. Well, buyers are starting to have more power.
I have multiple offers or contracts with builders. I'm going to say that 30% are closing on time. 70% are probably not closing on time. And they're not just getting extended a week or two.
What, the builders?
The builders.
Because of the lumber shortage is a lot. Some of it is the lumber
materials. The flooring's not done. They weren't coming out the way that the client wanted them as far as what the agreement was. The upgrades that they're paying for, they want to get some type of
because
credit.
When they're selling so fast and moving that quick, things get missed. And that's why.
Well, I feel that they're just, I hate to say this, they're in uncharted waters. Like they don't really know how to act or react to this thing, and they're doing their best. Contractors are low. Inventory, the cost of materials are high, and the materials themselves are low, and they're trying to get them. And you look at all these things. Go ahead.
So not only are they in uncharted territory, but they still feel the burn from the housing crash the first time around and the mistakes that they made. So they're trying to apply that to how do we curve things or how do we set things up so that we're not susceptible to that happening, but at the same point, it's uncharted territory. So there's a few different factors that builders are dealing with right now.
Rick, what do you think? I mean, you think it's the market's kind of going in a good direction here, obviously, and what do you think about the situation we're talking about with builders and how they're working with a lot of these materials and things that they're trying to deal with? Because I feel that builders are doing the best that they can, but I feel that they're still running behind, right? The contractors are still running behind. The materials are still not coming in when they need to come in.
I mean, we discussed this the last couple of weeks, and builders can only do so much. I mean, if the wood's not there and the contractors, and again, we're back to workers who are all staying at home, and they're not there, everything's getting slowed down. The only people that don't care or that get upset about this in a way are the buyers. I understand their side of it too. You said it was going to be done. You said. And so they're getting squeezed from both sides. They're not getting the support from the people they need, and they're getting pressured from the buyers. It's going to turn around when supply opens up.
Yep.
And support products are back on the shelf, whether it's cement or lumber or whatever. And there's people in place to do the work. It's simple.
Well, it's interesting because we were talking about inventory supply, and we're going to end this segment here. Albuquerque, New Mexico, you got North Carolina, Seattle, and Denver actually have
Albuquerque?
Yeah, has lower inventory than Las Vegas.
Oh, wow.
So that's interesting because we're still
Seattle?
It's happening everywhere.
Yeah. So we think that we're the the one that's out there and we're in lights and everybody thinks like Vegas is the top, the best place and we got nothing.
That's because we're Vegas,
We're
man.
Popular. Hey, there's four or five other popular places.
Yeah, they're all jealous. They're all jealous. We're the city of lights.
They're all wannabes.
That's right, man. You come Vegas or you come nothing at all.
Absolutely. Let's go over and we're going to talk to Rick about property management. Rick, we're going to talk to you today about repairs, both owners and tenants' perspective. Also about pools and working for owners, and is that really a profit or is it a loss to most of, a lot of these owners, right? So go ahead and let's talk to you about what's happening here.
Well, I wanted to piggyback for those of you who didn't catch last week's podcast, please. We had a really good podcast, and we were interviewing Ace with Green Oasis Pools and Landscape. He's been in the business 20 years. Unfortunately, we didn't get to touch on how pools affect property management. And one of the things I want owners out there that are thinking of hiring property managers or to do it themselves is that most tenants aren't looking for places with pools. They're looking for a functional place that's either near where they work or their schools, or it's the right size. And pools are rarely one of the things that are on their list. And when you rent a place out, you're probably going to only get between $200 and $400 more in rent, depending on the size of pool and where the property sits. And your costs for that pool are going to be between $150 and $200. So
Because of liability?
Well, I was going to
No.
jump in with the liability because
there's also the liability, but I'm just
Steam
talking.
was coming out of
I'm just talking numbers here. But yes, and the other thing is that you have the liability. But so what happens is because there's so little net profit from having a pool and all of this liability, but owners, what they want to do is put all the burden on these tenants. And most tenants don't have the ability to clean pools and maintain them, which is
Or they're not going to.
a time-intensive thing, and there's expense involved. And most of the time, or a lot of the time, you end up with green swamps. And that's something that an owner who's handling it himself, managing it himself, that's problematic. So that's one of the things that I wanted to bring up as far as pools, since we had that last week.
Okay.
And then moving in the same vein into, I've got the three things that, again, do-it-yourself property managers or owners, the three pitfalls, major three pitfalls. And the first one is if you're an owner and you're doing it yourself, you don't have the time or the resources to fully figure out a background on somebody for most of the time. And what we've run into, and I could give you a lot of stories about this, you end up taking a person who flashes money in front of you. And I don't know if any of you have seen the movie Pacific Heights with Michael Keaton, but if you're an owner that's thinking about doing it yourself, you should really look at that movie. Because you're gonna, once somebody starts flashing money in front of your face, especially if the property's been sitting on the market a while,
Yeah.
your emotions get in the way, and that's a big problem for do-it-yourself owners. And the other thing is, don't allow family pressure as an owner to come into the thing, into the mix. We end up getting more owners calling us after they've been trying to do it themselves they've got their niece or their nephew or their uncle or somebody that's in the property, and it rarely works out. And the problem is that you as an owner are inhibited, or you feel inhibited, to make the calls that are necessary to push the buttons in order to straighten the situation out. And in a way, you put yourself in that situation. Second pitfall. Most new owners, they neglect setting up a repair fund. And that's key. Every house is just like me and everybody in here, you're getting older. And as you get older, you get more aches and pains and things go wrong. Houses aren't any different. So it's critical that you set up a repair fund. And as I mentioned in other podcasts, I get owners saying, well, how am I going to make any money? My expenses are so high, so on and so forth. And one of the things as an investor that you should really consider is going in with as much money as you can. Make your mortgage payment as low as you can and get the best, newest house that you can, or the newest property. Because again, older they are, guaranteed that you're going to have problems.
How do I make money when you sell it?
How do you make money when you sell it?
No. When they say, well, how do I make money as a property?
Oh, yeah. Well, no. The way you make money is you don't have a mortgage.
Yeah. Well,
Okay,
yeah, I
that's
know,
number
but
one.
yeah,
And
that's
you
like
make your money when you sell it.
Yeah,
actually,
that's
Actually, the truth is, you make your money when you buy. If you
Yeah,
can,
you're right.
If you can get in and you get a really good price, that's when you're making your money.
Yeah.
'Cause the market on the other end is going to determine.
You're just grabbing your money later on down the road.
That's it.
Yeah.
The last one, and I've got an interesting story for this one, is that there's a lot of owners out there that try their best to ignore problems. And that's a surefire way to get you in a lot of problems, either with state mandates or laws that you break. That's one.
What's one of the
side.
things that they typically ignore? Like, would you say that's a big problem that you have with your
Well,
clients?
I would say that probably the biggest one that they ignore is the owner takes the position that everything that the tenant does and happens to the house is because of the tenant and is the tenant's responsibility. And that is not a good way to make business decisions.
So let's say I have
I agree with
a
you.
piping problem, like underneath the
That's
sink.
different.
The sink, is that something that the that the property manager would take care of it, the landlord, or would it be the tenant?
Why do you have a piping problem? So, as an example,
What do you mean, Rick?
Rick's driving.
So,
I was gonna say something further, but we're live.
oh, I just got it.
We keep you young, Rick.
Thank you.
So no pools.
Wait, I've never had a piping problem.
So no pools.
Hey, Rick,
No
show those
pools.
guns, buddy. Let's
Change
see.
it.
Let's see. Wait, hold on. Let's see those guns, Rick.
There you go.
Rick has no
Death
piping
and
problems.
destruction.
He's got
Part
no piping
D.
problems over here.
But wait,
Okay,
and a lot of this,
we're getting serious now.
yeah, a lot of this stuff has to
Let's
do
focus.
again with the owners and their emotions. That's a big thing. They let their emotions get involved in this, and when you're talking about any investment, you got to take emotion out of it. So, let me give you an example of making a bad decision over a small repair. I had a guy who was older. He was on the golf pro circuit. He was good. He rented this place. It was a 2 or 3 bedroom.
Was his name Tiger Woods?
His name was not Tiger Woods. He was on the senior tour.
That was under one of his mistresses' name.
But anyway, he moves in and he literally leaves about 80% of all of his belonging in boxes in the bedrooms. Why? Because he's on tour all the time. So he's out on tour. He's paying his rent like clockwork. It was about $850 a month at the time. This is about 15 to 18 years ago. And he comes home one weekend and he decides to do his laundry and the dryer doesn't work. So we call for a repair, and in the process of the repair guy going out, they find like 4 or 5 socks in the motor system. But none of them are his. They're from the previous tenant. I call the owner. You got to remember, 20 years ago, $70. It was a big deal for the repair. Owner says, no, he was trying to use the dryer, and they found socks, and it's going to have to be his repair. I said, are you sure you want to do this? And so
That's Rick's way of saying I disagree.
yeah,
Are
In
you
a
sure?
nice way.
yeah, and
You sure that's the decision you're going with?
you're going with? And I told him this guy's gonna. If I was this tenant, and he'd been in there for several years, he's gonna move. And no, that's his problem. I tell the tenant,
Dude.
and the tenant goes, "Are you kidding me?" He goes, "Okay, I'll pay it." He goes, "I'm giving you my 30-day notice." I said, "All right, I understand." So he moves out. He paid the $70 to get the dryer fixed. All right. That property was on the market waiting for almost 4 months. That $70 repair off a guy that didn't even live there ran him over $3,000. And those are the types of decisions that emotional owners make, especially when they're handling it themselves.
I've seen sellers do that on properties too
it's
before.
insane.
It's
So-
like, dude, it's $300 to fix that. You sure? No, because I'm like,
Yeah,
Dude.
a vacancy will always be your greatest expense. A vacancy will be.
Being cheap can bite you.
So,
yes, yeah. Sometimes being
One thing I want to say, Rick. So I was reading
Trying to
something
save money
that
constantly.
rents are year over year up 22%. Are we still seeing increases in rents right now?
Yes, slightly. They're still going up. And what's interesting, I told you guys last week that I had a couple of places on the market that hadn't moved for like 3-4 days, right? Everything's gone right now. I got 0. So,
Wow.
and not only did those go, but we've probably had 4 to 5 new properties come on this week that I never even got a chance to put on our website.
Wow.
They were gone instantly.
Wow.
There you go, man.
So do you think that rents are
what's that about things slowing down?
right? Let me
Well,
say this:
they-
do you think
but
that
those-
rents are going to slow down though, where they're going to start to retract? I mean, because look, we're waiting for somewhat of a correction with the housing market. Are we seeing the same things with the rents? Do we need a correction? I feel like it's just going crazy, right?
I think, of course, it's going to happen. And again, there's a lot of factors that feed into this, but I haven't seen it definitively yet. Again, it is going to happen, but I haven't seen a huge, oh yeah, we got to lower this price by X
And I'm
amount.
sure you agree with me too that when it does, because 1 + 1 = 2, it eventually has to. What goes up, it's you don't know exactly to what effect. You know,
See, here's the cool thing
because
about
we're
this.
in uncharted what's happening right now, man.
Rick has an incentive to have renters. where we don't. I mean, we're fine with if they want to rent, but we're looking at it from one side of view, and he's looking at it from a different side of view. So it's good to blend that because he might give a different perspective on maybe it is a good time to rent.
Absolutely, and I agree with everything that he said and his logic behind everything. And I mean, we're kind of on the same thing. I mean, I'm looking for people who want to buy rentals,
right.
And then I'll send them over to you.
Right,
sounds like a deal.
All right, let's segue
Give us
to
a
this.
call at 70.
Hold on, Rick. You got anything else to say about the rental market?
Not about the rental market, but I did want to bring up that one fact, and it's not a big deal, okay? But on the stats site here that Dan brought up earlier, there was a foreclosure. We had a foreclosure listed, and I found that really interesting.
How many foreclosures do we have right now?
One that was listed on the MLS.
One foreclosure out of
but the point being
in the entire
is,
city.
But the point being is that we haven't had any in over a year.
When was this though? This was like
right now.
I mean, no, but when was this take place? Did it take place this month or last month?
I don't know if it's this month or not. It's on the stats. If you find, I'm not sure if it's in InfoSparks or on one of the other.
Well, we'll take a look at it. I don't have it set up, but
all I have to do is go to the.
We'll take his word for it. It's one foreclosure.
There's one.
So
and there's no short sales.
Does this think? Do you guys think this is a sign that we're going to see more?
That's what I'm trying to get at.
Is that what you're thinking?
No.
He says no, not even a few.
What about you over there,
Well,
Sarah?
from my perspective and the potential clients I've been receiving lately, I think that it might start trickling in a little based on, because I also handle, pre-foreclosure stuff, and I've just had two this last week.
Keep in mind that before COVID, there were foreclosures.
Right.
All right. And it's the foreclosure period where they said no more foreclosures.
Yeah.
And they changed the rules, and you were able, in a lot of mortgages, to get whatever you didn't pay put on the back end so that you get to pay it later. But that's
why it's going to happen.
That's
it's going to
drying
happen.
out. It's just going to go back to the way it was.
Because how are these people going to be able to pay all of a sudden?
So
now?
when I make my comment on it, I mean it from a perspective of this. Yes, I'm sure maybe a few will come on, but no one's getting around the fact that there's still 10 buyers for everyone that comes on. So
I don't know.
So if more foreclosures come on, but they're being snatched up for full price if over list the second they come on, what's the relativity of that?
I think I'm still in a test case position.
Just more homes on the market.
Because, I mean, we got one, which is great. I got to
I think one doesn't mean anything. In a city of 2.5, 3 million, one foreclosure. Are you kidding me? No. Why are we even mentioning it?
Yeah,
I mean that's my thought. I mean I know why,
the
but
only reason I mentioned it is because it actually hit.
Yeah. I'm not saying it as a rip.
Because look, the case study on this would be would it increase like in a short window, or would we see one now and then we see one in another month?
So what's relative to you of that increasing? So if we have one and it goes to 100, I think we could go to 300 and they would still be snatched up
dude, it's still a case study in my opinion. I think it's a good thing to bring up.
I agree.
Okay, and so we'll just leave it at that, okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
Are we going to segue out of property management? Because I have one thing I want to say.
Go ahead and talk about it.
100%.
Right. Just for the landlords out there, because again, I'm always thinking about liability. I know you've had insurance agents on before, which have probably talked about this, but when I do estate planning, I do asset protection. So definitely pro tip, landlords, please have an umbrella policy. Please, please, please. If you have rental properties, you need an umbrella policy. You also do not own those rental properties in your own name. That is the most insane thing to do ever.
For the
you
listener,
want to own them in an LLC at a minimum, because you do not want, when that tenant sues the property owner, they do not need to sue you individually, so all your personal assets are exposed. You want to put it in a business entity to limit your exposure and limit your liability.
And it's cheap to do.
What's umbrella for all the viewers out there?
Great question. I should have already
I'm
defined
serious.
that.
Yeah.
Umbrella policy is usually you've got your 300, 500 policy, your standard policy, and then you put an umbrella. It's usually $1 million umbrella. So if a tenant slips and falls and they sue the landlord and the judgment is over your policy limits,
covers that?
It covers it.
Cool.
Which is very important, because if it doesn't, then they're going to go after your own assets. So you want to have that umbrella policy, and it's not that expensive. Very cheap.
So I appreciate everybody. We're going to talk with Brett here about cryptocurrency and stocks, and I just want to give you this platform. Talk to us about what's happening. Because look, you got a store out there, right? What's the store?
Uncle Merch unclemerch.com.
There you go.
unclemerch.com.
What do you sell at that store?
So I sell cryptocurrency gear. like you want a Bitcoin T-shirt or a Doge hat or some other crypto bling.
Are you serious or you're just messing?
No, go. It's a store. It's an online store, Shopify store. I started, or I paid someone to start it for me.
So what's going on in crypto? What do you see
Do
out
we
there
get
right
a
now?
discount?
Yeah,
Because we're part of the broadcast?
yeah.
Right?
Just say I know the owner.
He said I get 50% off.
What do you see out there right now? Crypto.
Well, it's kind of in a accumulation period right now. So, beginning of this year when things were running pretty high, nobody. People knew it was going to come down some. People didn't think it was going to go from 65,000 down to 29,000. Now Bitcoin's back at, I think, 49,000 this morning. So it crossed 50, and it's been sitting between probably 47 and 50, maybe 51 for the past couple of weeks. So it's just accumulating right now. Now you're seeing half people say that by the end of the fall, we're going to have one more run here, but the run isn't going to be that high. And we're going to go to the end of the fall, and then we're going to go back into a bear market. You have other people that before and still say this, which is we're going well into the end of this year, into the early next year, and Bitcoin's going to go over 100,000 and all these things. So, dude, it's uncharted territory. So
here's what I can say: it's still a small percentage of the population,
Correct.
but it's growing. And here's the other thing:
Yeah.
as a mortgage lender, I'm dealing with a lot of opportunity now with buyers that have assets in cryptocurrency and having to transfer the cryptocurrency. The only problem is, and it's not a problem, but I understand they're playing the market. They want to wait to the very end, right? Before they say, well, I'm going to transfer, because they're trying to see gains. They want to see gains.
Yeah.
But the good news is that we're starting to see this more and more, and we're trying to get alternate routes to get this done.
I say, listen, crypto's looked at as property. So,
well, is it tangible though?
It's very tangible. It's a matter of acceptance or not. I personally think people should be buying homes and other purchases with it. Use one property to another property.
Right.
But are people willing to do that yet? No. I'm getting rejection after rejection when I propose it to people. I'm like, hey, you want to make history? How about you? No.
There's a lot of speculation out there that the cryptocurrency world, that cryptocurrency will be increasing in the next few months into next of 2022. Is that going to happen, you think?
I don't know, man. We're accumulating right now. So it's going to go one of two directions. And it's been around for 10 years. It's gone from something that's worth nothing to a $2 trillion market in 10 years. So you can look at past graphs and statistics, but that doesn't, you got to take it in perspective of there's not a lot of history to go back on that. So I think we're going to go back up to probably 60, 65,000. Once we hit that 65,000, dude, I don't know.
Do you have any news that's come out that's given you maybe the people that are watching this?
So here's kind of what's happening with the SEC is coming out with some regulation, and Gary Gensler is the head of the SEC, and he's always in the past been a very pro crypto person. He caught some slack this week with a lot of people on crypto Twitter that were laying into him and saying he wants to make it impossible and all these things, but they're just trying to define the terms right now. And it's like anything, it's so much uncharted territory that they're kind of confused of what they want to do. But I do know it's good for crypto to get adaption. It's good for it to have rules and regulations to a certain amount. Old arguments like, oh, well, people can ransom somebody with Bitcoin, or they can kidnap and use Bitcoin as all those things. I always go back to Pablo, was the drug czar guy, the drug lord out of Pablo Escobar.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right? So was he buying his drugs with credit cards, or was he buying his drugs with cash?
He was selling his hippos to do that.
So fiat. He was using he was using fiat. He was using cash. So the people who say, oh, well, Bitcoin's only a way to launder money and da-da-da, it's been done by cash.
Real quick.
And we still have cash.
Real quick.
So,
Rick, do you crypto?
listen.
Let me see. I got to think about that.
Rick, do you even Bitcoin, bro?
I'm curious. No,
That's like when you say, "Do you do the pot?"
Do you do the pot and then the Bitcoin?
Do you do the Twitter?
You know, it's. I will say this. Bitcoin's come a long ways. I remember a couple years ago when Shadow Point.
I was about ready to get into it. I was about ready to
Oh,
buy.
sorry.
Let him
My
answer his
bad.
question.
My bad.
Ready-
Go
I'm
ahead.
ready to
Show
buy.
the guns real quick, Rick. Show him the guns. Next time,
I'm sorry, man.
Next
I'm
time you cut
sorry.
him off, he's going to show
Go
you the
easy.
guns.
Go easy. I mean no harm.
No, I have a question. How much is Litecoin going for right now?
Litecoin it was like 178 this morning, 179 this morning.
$178. Mm-hmm. Okay, I want to buy 1,000 of these. You're selling them on your website.
You want to buy 1,000 of them?
For
Cool.
$19.95.
Okay. Place the order right now.
You won't see. You won't see.
I have a guy this week I hired in the Philippines
see
that places
Brett?
the order.
Brett won't do real estate for a month.
Yeah,
He's
dude,
like, I'm in.
I fully encourage you to order that many.
I mean, you're putting these in a glass case for $19.95.
You don't even want
is worth what? How much did you say?
Dude, you know where I'm getting it from on AliExpress? About $2.
Brett, you just gave away your recipe. Come on, Brett.
What? That I'm in business to make money? Yeah. I gave away my secret. I'm in business to make money.
What if I go to AliExpress and do the same thing then?
Go ahead and get your online store or do whatever. feel free. Most people are lazy. I'm going to make money off that.
Anything else with crypto?
No, just it's like I said, we're accumulating right now. So we're about ready to find out these next couple of weeks what's going to happen.
All right.
So
All right. Stock market, anything going on with that?
I do
buddy?
know this, that people used to traditionally, for a hedge of what they think is going to happen for inflation, used to stick that all into gold. Look at gold prices this past year. So people are making that shift over to Bitcoin for the store of value. Next.
Yeah, Bonita over here, Nunez said that,
I know Bonita.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, she's a client of mine.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So she said that that you can buy a house in California with crypto. You think that's going to start to become a thing?
I would love for that to happen. In fact, anybody who wants to sell their house, who's considering that, we can have it so that when the people pay you or it goes a payment in, it comes in strictly USD cash. They don't ever see the Bitcoin, or you can keep it in Bitcoin. I know how to facilitate that. But like I said, I'm having trouble right now trying to find title companies that'll get on board, because title companies, their attorneys get to me and say, hey, we're not saying what you want to do here is illegal. What we're saying is it's a gray area, and we're not touching that because of a gray area. But there are title companies out of Glen Oaks in California that have done it before. So yeah, man, I would love to be the first agent to do that here.
Brett Jenny, ladies and gentlemen, the crypto guru over here.
I am. And let me go back to say the one and only crypto certified agent in the state of Nevada, and I'm a Bitcoin certified professional.
Anything going on with stocks?
So I know how to do that.
Anything happening with stocks?
Stocks, just follow Wall Street Bets. I mean, those kids are making more money than I am by doing nothing with fundamentals. Just go on there and see what the popular stocks are, buy them, and hold, dude. You'll make money, basically.
Sarah, you got anything to add on
crazy right
crypto?
now.
Do you cryptocurrency?
I do not. I am actually currently doing research on it, so I'm glad we're having this conversation.
See, everybody's
I would,
trying to get
I would
from
love
the-
to have as many discussions with you as you want. Any questions
I'm
you have?
looking into that too.
Yeah. Brett's going to have a show after this for 2 hours, so if you
Not today, but
It's just going to be me talking to myself. That's basically every day.
I need
Esmeralda,
your number.
let's end this show. Okay, so Esmeralda, you had something to share, and you said you're going to share it today. I want to know what it is. Let us know.
I said next
You
week.
said
No,
today.
you should do it today because I won't.
Do it
Yes,
today.
do it right now. Come on.
Yeah,
Let us
come
know
on.
what's happening.
I was looking for a home and I won a bid.
Oh, you
And I got everything
did.
I wanted.
Okay, so is
Awesome.
this a new home?
It's a new home.
Wow.
You having a housewarming party?
Yeah, if you're ready to buy some furniture. No, just like
So where did you go buy this home at?
I'll
Where
bring
was
the
it at?
beer.
What area?
it's in Mountain's Edge.
Cool.
Okay. Is
Cool.
that the location you were desiring?
That's why I wanted to be in the Southwest. I wanted something close to my mom. And I originally wasn't looking to buy at this time, but I've been searching for a long time. I was actually trying to buy last year before my dad died. And but I found something that I actually really liked without really.
See, that's what I'm saying.
And,
Is
but I was
now a
like,
good time to buy?
I don't want to let this go. I don't care.
See, that's exactly
I'm
what I
like,
said.
What did you buy your house for? What's the price?
I don't want to say it now.
Just give us
No,
a
it's
ballpark.
like
asking a woman how much she
can't-
weighs.
No, but just give us a ballpark. Like, what is the challenges out there? Like, are you getting? Is it something that was? I'm not saying. Look, we all know you can afford $1 million home. It doesn't mean you got to go buy $1 million
It's
home.
not. It's not.
We're not all
that.
balling like you.
It's not. It's nothing that expensive. It really isn't. I
Okay.
mean, it's in the middle.
Okay, so
I would
we'll
say
say
between
500,000.
Yeah.
Okay, that's all you had to say.
It's
That's
around
cool.
there. I didn't get nothing like
Yeah.
crazy. It's just, but it's everything that I would want, and I looked at it as longevity to keep. So it's really I bought it for like one of my rentals that I would keep.
Are you
'Cause I know
doing-
I would rent it when I-
Remember when you said, is now a good time to buy? That's the scenario I gave. I said, if the right
Well-
house is there.
Esmeralda, congratulations. Who
Yeah,
you using?
congrats.
Who are you going to use for the financing? Go ahead.
You should have used me as a realtor, but we'll discuss
You
that.
had
We'll
to use
discuss that later.
the builder's lender, right?
I had to use my family.
Oh,
in
see,
this
look,
one.
What?
dude, like right there. That's a
That's,
big
Blood's
hit in
thicker
the
than
gut.
water.
No, but it wasn't. It was a
stab in the
builder,
back.
and I had to move with that.
That's
But-
like taking
I'm just
Rick's
kidding.
arm, his guns, and
No,
punching me
because
right
that
in
was
the
the only way I
gut.
was going to get this house. So
Yeah.
I had to use my connections to get what I needed.
Yeah, you got to do what you got to do.
It's all good.
We're just giving you crap anyways, dude.
Next time you buy a house, though, I better get a call. That's just funny. So, anyways, guys, we're gonna finish the show. This is the final segment of this. You guys have anything else to say here? Anybody? Final thoughts, questions, anything out there? Rick, let's start with you. Anything?
Everything's good.
Okay.
Did we check the chart? Is anybody asking any questions?
Not too much today. I think a lot of
All right.
people are listening. But go ahead, Rick. You got anything else or no?
Nope,
Nothing else to
that's
say.
it.
Brett.
Just contact us or me if you have any questions about the housing market or Bitcoin. I mean, I'll just talk that to the end of the day.
So wait, one last thing. So it wasn't mentioned. I'm with Atlas Group LC, and we're on all the social media. Look me up. Give us a call.
Absolutely, Sarah.
Thanks, Dan, for having me on. This was a lot of fun.
It was awesome.
And Brett, you should come to my legal CE class, continuing education, next Thursday. If
Yeah.
not, you can come next. I do it every month. But
Okay.
Anyway, it'll be interesting.
I'll get your number after this. Text me the info and I'll be
Look
there.
at all these connections
Guarantee
we
it.
got going on. This is why we do this.
This is this
for
town,
real
man.
estate agents, if you need law CE, which everybody does to renew their license, then I do teach the law CE. And of course, for anybody else out there, if you have questions about business, real estate, probate, estate planning, I'll talk to you for 15 minutes for free. So give me a call.
Absolutely. Esmeralda, with your new house, anything else? Your brand new home that she's
She's
using.
just going home to her new house.
She's using connections in her
That's it.
family, but that's cool. I'm just playing. It's
Hey,
good for
my
you.
uncle bought it for me, so he's
Hey,
my
it's
bank.
all good. I'm just. I'm
I
happy
can't be
for
mad
you.
at him, right?
I'm happy
right.
for you. I'm just giving
Thank
you
you.
some.
You don't be.
I'm giving you some
hating.
shit.
Dan's just a hater.
Just playing.
Biggest hater right now, you son of a bitch.
I just
son
like,
of a bitch.
I like
you.
to put people on the spot, man. It's funny.
He's not.
So thank you for coming on, everybody. Again, this is the most real and behind-the-scenes information regarding financing, real estate, money talk, entrepreneurs,
wanna s-
on-job experience here in Las Vegas. Again, I'm your host, Dan French, streaming from Las Vegas. Brett, what do you got to say, buddy?
For anybody who's listening, we are the podcast of the stars. They all listen to us.
Please hit that like button. Also, subscribe if
Most
you like the content.
influential.
If you guys have any questions, put it in the comment section. I'll answer them. One of us will answer them. We'll also have Sarah Morris's information in the comment section if you want to get a hold of a probate or an estate attorney, right? And that's it, guys. We'll see you guys on Tuesday. Hopefully, you guys have a great week and be safe. We'll talk to you then.
Buy Bitcoin.
Bye.
Thank you for watching an episode of the French Workbench Podcast. If you want to tune into past episodes, please subscribe to my channel now. Also, if you want to look at our audio-only options, we do have iTunes and SoundCloud.